Hi everyone, welcome to English Digest.
I am Sam.
And I'm Angeline. So I've been feeling very sentimental lately.
Oh.
Maybe it's because I feel so old and I feel like life is flashing right before my eyes. Sometimes I even lose track of how old I am.
Yeah, that's so true. I am also going through this period of my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get very frustrated because I always believe that I will be super successful at this stage of my life.
But you are.
Yeah, I am doing okay.
Yeah, you're
but,
doing well.
Like, I think social media is the worst thing on earth
is.
because you see, like, they go on vacation,
Yeah.
they take, like, beautiful picture, they have great summer body, and I have none of those. So
Summer bodies. Yeah, but you know what? On Instagram or Facebook, people only let you see what they want you to see,
yes,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't see them working overtime.
No.
You don't see them fighting with their significant others.
Yeah.
You don't, yeah.
Exactly. You don't see their bank accounts. So, Sam, if you could go back in time, what would you do differently?
Okay, so I will absolutely try more things when I was at school. Yeah, the thought I might fail, okay, tend to stop me from trying.
Yeah.
And my personality, I'm not really a fighter, you know, I'm more like a quitter. So.
Oh, no.
So if I could go back in time, I would push myself, try more different things. Yeah, but I can still do that now. Yeah, it may cost more time, money, work. Yeah, but it's never too late, I guess.
It isn't. Yeah, it's never too late. And you should definitely try them now.
Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, that is good advice. In fact, if you ever feel lost in life, I think something that you can do is actually ask someone from an older generation for advice, like your grandparents or even your parents too. I think they usually have words of wisdom to pass on to you. After all, they've, been there, done that, right? And have likely experienced the same, if not something similar, when they were your age.
That's very true. In fact, we're going to be that older guy in today's writing exercise. Yeah, we're giving advice to our children in today's writing exercise.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So let's do it.
Okay, so today our topic-based writing is titled A Letter to My Own Child. Okay, so we can guess that this letter will likely have some words of wisdom, okay?
We have to come up with some words of wisdom.
Yeah, we got to give them some advice,
Yeah,
okay?
even though I'm not wise, but I have to.
And, they can learn from our mistakes, right? We can tell them what happened, right? Let's take a look at our writing prompt to find out more.
好，马上来看一下今天的写作提示了。他说呢，你的高中生活过得如何呢？请写一封120字以上的信函，给自己未来刚要上高中的孩子，跟他分享你高中生活的酸甜苦辣，并且呢，给予一些面对这3年的具体建议。
Okay, so in this writing exercise, we have to write a letter with a minimum of 120 words to your future child who is just about to embark on their journey through high school.
Oh, exciting.
Okay? So share your personal experiences of what high school was like for you, both the good and the bad, and give them some words of advice to help them get through high school. So what was high school like for you, Sam? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But not until I'm an adult, I realized that I wasn't doing as much as my colleagues.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in high school, they were dating, they working part-time. There's a lot of things they were doing, and I was only reading comics and watch TV, so...
Wait a second. This was in high school?
Yeah, high school.
They were working?
Yeah, they're working. I'm not sure. I think it's legal, right? It's
That's true.
Yeah, because you are like more than 15-year-old, so part-time.
Okay. But you know what? Nowadays, like you can say like, oh, you wish you worked when you were younger.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's good to be a kid sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it's good to be a kid.
It is. So let's think about the approach we might want to take when writing this letter, okay? For the first paragraph, you'll want to talk about your experiences at high school. So our writing prompt tells us to talk about the ups and downs of high school life. So don't forget to include the pros and the cons.
好，回忆呢，你的高中生活肯定不是一切都很开心哦。比方说像我看漫画、看电视很开心，但是呢，也有准备考试要上补习班这种很 很痛苦的回忆。所以呢，我们好的、坏的、开心的、不开心的，我们都可以写进去哦。这个呢，可以让你的文章更加的丰富咯。
Okay, so we more or less know what the structure of our article will look like. Let's spend some time developing our first paragraph, okay? So in the first paragraph, we will be talking about our own experiences in high school. We have to include the good and the bad. For me, one of the best things about high school was having the freedom to pick the courses I could study.
Yes.
For example, I had to study 2 sciences, but I could choose between biology, chemistry, and physics instead of having to study all 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that freedom.
Yeah, it's really different here in Taiwan. I cannot choose my courses until university. I had classes from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to 5 in the afternoon. And then you either stay at school, study more, or go to more classes. Yeah, but as I remember, it's fun stay at school after school. You know, we weren't always studying. Sometimes we skipped it and went to 7-Eleven. Yeah, so good memories.
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting, yeah. And this paragraph must also include some hardships that happened when you were in high school because, I mean, let's be honest, high school wasn't a bed of roses, right? I think something a lot of people go through during high school is peer pressure, especially the pressure of trying to fit in. It can be a very difficult time. I personally struggled a bit with my social life in high school.
Okay, I guess I was lucky. Yeah, I know social life could be quite challenging, but for me, it was okay.
So in the second paragraph, you will give your future child advice, okay? So you can use lessons you learned during high school to give you some ideas. You can also talk about how certain experiences in high school affected your life in the future. So what piece of advice would you give your child about high school, Sam?
I don't know if things changed or will change in Taiwan. If it's still the same as what I've been through, I would suggest my kids studying harder.
Studying harder?
Yes,
okay,
yeah, because
interesting.
which university you go is quite important.
That is quite true.
Companies might decide whether they want you based on degrees.
That is true,
Yeah, so of course I encourage people to do whatever they want, but if you are not sure yet, you don't know what your career should be like, starting harder is the best thing you can do. Yeah, I don't want my kids to regret. Yeah.
That's true, yeah. I mean, you did bring up a good point. A lot of companies do look at what university you graduated.
Yes.
It seems very important. I recently read news about a billionaire in China, I think. He paid his daughter's way into, I forgot if it was Harvard or Stanford, but he paid a few million US dollars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to get her into that university. So I would probably tell my future child to have more fun in high school, actually. I'm like the opposite of you.
Yeah.
Because life only gets harder in university when you enter the workforce. I feel like a lot of children, or students, pretty much, they spend a lot of time studying. And all they do is study, which I know is really important, but there are other things in life that you should also enrich yourselves with,
Yes.
you know, learn how to play a sport, pick up a hobby here and there, hang out with your friends, because you really don't have very much time for that. When you're an adult,
No.
Yeah, my parents used to put us into a lot of after-school activities like swimming and piano lessons. And at that time, I was like, I wish I had more free time. But honestly, that was really good for me. So yeah, I honestly think you should have more fun.
Try different things.
Yeah, and I also would tell my future child to form meaningful relationships with people while also expanding your social network, okay? So you can be friendly with everyone, but you don't necessarily have to be best friends with everyone. I think that's also very important. Like, not everyone has to be your best friend. That's something that I think a lot of younger people think. It's just good to expand your social network, just to know a lot of people, because I feel like a lot of these connections, we need them in the future.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll know, somebody used to work at whatever, and then maybe because of that relationship that that's how you get into this company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important.
Yeah, and the people while you are in school,
Yeah.
it's like it's everything is simple, there's not much complicated relationships involved.
Yeah.
There's not like your superior, your supervisor, your like work in different companies or anything. Yeah, because like after you start working, people that's not like you don't know them for who they are. Not to, like really, it's not that simple as you are in school.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
OK, 好，所以呢，在第一段里面呢，建议同学就可以回忆一下呢，你在高中的回忆。OK， 那些开心，那些辛苦，是读书啊，是这个看电视，还是怎么样？那引导到第二段呢，你就可以透过这些经验来建议你未来的孩子要怎么做。比方说，刚刚我建议说应该要多念点书，或者是呢，像 Angeline 建议说你可以多玩乐，多尝试。那我们就可以使用这个架构来进行这篇书信写作咯。
Okay, so now that you have a general idea of what you're going to write, it's time to organize your ideas into an outline. So having an outline is very important in the writing process as it acts as a foundation of your essay. So an outline allows you to organize the paragraphs into an order that makes sense and ensure each paragraph is fully developed. So because we're writing a letter today, the format will be different from our usual writing exercises, okay? It might be helpful for you to Google letter templates.
Yes.
So you can get a rough idea of that format. We don't need to make this letter too formal since the recipient is a loved one, right? So we can just make sure our letter follows the basic format for a letter, right? At the top, you will write the date either on the upper right corner or the upper left corner of the page. Then you will write a salutation, which is your letter's greeting. The most common salutation is dear, followed by the recipient's name. And the salutation is left justified. That means it appears on the left side of the page.
OK, 所以今天是一篇信函写作。信函写作呢，就要特别注意它的格式了，包含这个所谓称谓啊、日期啊、结尾语啊和你的署名等等的。那注意到今天是一封写给自己未来小孩的私人信件呢，写给我们这个熟悉的人、很亲近的人呢，我们信件格式就不用太拘谨，不用太正式了。所以呢，第一个我们要注意的呢是这个我们的称谓呢，就可以使用 dear。OK，dear 后面再加上你的这个名字。比方说是 Dear Angeline, Dear Sam 是写给谁？那再来呢，我们日期呢就要写在称谓上方空一行的右上角，或者是呢，我们可以制作对齐信件，在最上面写下来这个信是什么时候寄的。
Right. So the body of the letter begins 2 spaces below the salutation and should be left justified. The lines are single-spaced. Ensure each paragraph is also left justified. So the body of the letter is where the 2 paragraphs we brainstormed earlier will appear.
好，所以呢，注意到我们这个写信，尤其是你在用这个 Word 或是用这个 Outlook 写信的时候呢，记得这个格式呢，我们一般都是靠左对齐哦。那所以在这个称谓的下方呢，我们就可以空一行、空2行呢，来写这个我们的这个文章的主体、文章的内容。那这边呢，我们的文章呢，提示有说我们文章分2段哦，就是呢，我们今天写作的重点，这个文章就是在这个主体的部分，把你的高中生活记录下来。
And finally, we will include a closing, okay? So the closing begins 2 lines below your final body paragraph. Common closings include best regards, sincerely.
OK， 所以呢，最后呢，我们英文的写作就要有一个结尾语哦。结尾语就好像我们中文写信的时候要祝福一些什么，比方说祝他身体健康啊，谁谁谁敬上这种 OK。那呢，我们通常会写的，比方说像是best wishes, your friend, yours, love, all my love OK，因为你是写给你的小孩，所以我们可以用这些比较亲密、比较轻松、比较不是这么正式的。那写在信件结尾下方空一行 OK， 注意到呢，我们的结尾语是在右下角。或是制作对齐都可以 OK， 那署名的时候呢，我们只要写称谓就可以了，我们就在这个结尾语，也就是我们刚刚讲的这个best wishes 下面对齐结尾语，写下你的称谓，比方说我是 Sam， 我就写下我的名字就好了。
And then you can also sign it too if you would like
yes.
Put your signature on there. So now let's talk about the content of the letter, okay? So we will be writing in first person since you are writing about your experience and offering advice. So to create our outline, we can add details and turn the answers we brainstormed earlier into full sentences. So let's look at the sample outline in the magazine. The letter begins with this introduction. The topic sentence is, when you read this, you'll be in high school, okay? At the time I'm writing this, I am also a high schooler. And then it says, I'm enjoying my life as a teenager. I sometimes feel overwhelmed by my studies and other things.
So it's basically his or hers high school life.
Yes.
OK， 所以呢，当你看到这封信的时候呢，你已经是个高中生了。这边就是我们第一段的这个主题句哦，就是一开始先跟这个他的小孩，他的这个收件人未来的小孩呢，先讲说，你看到这个你已经上高中了。然后呢，他就开始讲，如同我们刚刚讨论的这个作者呢，就开始写自己的高中经验了。他在写说呢 ，At the time I'm writing this. At the time 是什么时间呢？在这个时间，我在写信的这个时间呢，我也是一个高中生哦。 我呢非常享受这个身为一个 teenager 一个青少年的这个快乐的时光 OK 那呢他有的时候也会怎么样 overwhelm 就是你想象一下这个排山倒海而来就是呢你被他淹没了所以呢表示说你是有压力的什么样的压力呢 OK 可能是他这边是讲说他的 studies 他的课业跟其他事情是什么事情我们可能等一下就可以有更多的细节来这个补充说明
That's right. And then the second paragraph starts off with this topic sentence. I'm not sure how the world will have changed by the time you read this. Okay. However, every teenager is trying to figure out who they are. And don't worry too much about your current problems. Okay, so I think this is true. I mean, we don't really know how the world will change. Maybe in 20 years, there will be flying cars.
Yeah, they're not going to school anymore.
Yeah, maybe they don't even need to go to school. There's no textbooks. Maybe everything
you just put a chip in your brain and you learn everything, maybe.
It's so scary. But I think what is true is that every teenager is trying to figure out who they are. No matter in whatever world we live in.
Yeah.
Whatever time frame we live in. We're trying to figure out. And I think being a teenager is so difficult because you're like a child, but you're also like an adult.
Yeah, you're in between.
Yeah, you're just like don't,
no matter what you do, it's awkward.
Yeah, it is. And I think the best piece of advice is true. Don't worry too much about your current problems because honestly, they won't really become problems after that. Yeah.
OK, 所以呢，第二段呢，我们就写他给这个孩子的建议了。因为呢，我们的作者经历了很大压力，他的学业跟其他外务。OK， 是哪一些事情呢？比方说我们刚刚讲到同侪压力，所以呢，他就建议这个孩子呢，不要太担心哦。大家都跟你一样在经历这一段，你现在觉得是问题的问题呢，其实当你长大之后，当你真正成为一个成人的时候，这些问题都不会是问题了。
That's right. Okay, and the conclusion. Our concluding sentence says, keep your chin up. You're a strong child.
OK, keep your chin up. 下巴抬起来就表示呢，要你走路要有自信哦，不要气馁，要有自信。OK, 你是一个很坚强的小朋友哦。
So from this outline, we can tell whether or not the writer has followed the instructions. Okay? Is more information required anywhere, or are there places where information needs to be cut? Once we have our outline down, you can see that our letter is about 80% complete.
Yes.
All we need to do now is to expand the ideas in the outline, maybe add some examples. We also need to make sure the paragraphs not only flow from sentence to sentence within the paragraphs, but also between each paragraph. And also, don't forget to use transitions.
Yes. OK, 那再次提醒大家呢，写作之前呢，一定要先把大纲列出来。OK， 当你有大纲的时候呢，你才可以看看，哪边太多，哪边太少，哪边需要补充，哪边需要删减哦。那当你大纲完成的时候呢，其实你的文章大概就完成80%了。后面真正的写作呢，我们只要呢把一些，比方说你加一些这个举例说明啊，加一些细节，或者是呢加上一些转折的词语，加上一些连接词，这个文章就可以完成了。所以记得写大纲可以帮助你更快、更好的完成文章写作哦。
Okay, so now guys, let's just take a quick break. We'll be right back before we read through our writing sample 1. Writing sample 1. July 5th, to my child. When you read this, you'll be in high school. What an exciting time it must be for you. At the time I am writing this, I am also a high schooler. I'm enjoying my life as a teenager. I hang out with my friends a lot, listen to great music, and play sports on the weekends. I won't say everything is rosy, though. There are times I feel overwhelmed by my studies and the growing pains of being stuck between childhood and adulthood. I'm not sure how the world will have changed by the time you read this. However, I think every teenager shares the experience of trying to figure out who they are and how they fit in. I want to tell you, don't worry too much about your current problems. Some things may feel like the end of the world, but they will pass and you'll have better times ahead. Keep your chin up. You come from a strong mother, so I know you're a strong child. All my love, Mom. Okay, Sam, can you relate to this letter? Would you have wanted your parents to write you a letter like this?
Not really, because they must have told me about like how teenager is like, but I would never understand it until I grew up and been through all this. So
that's true. Yeah, it's true. I think a lot of parents, they'll say stuff like, you don't know how I feel until you become a mother or until you become a father.
That's so true.
Which is true. I mean, honestly, we haven't been there yet, so we really don't know how it feels.
Yeah, because at this point, I look back, I'll feel like, okay, so that's what they were trying to tell me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what they were nagging about. Yeah.
It's still too late.
Yeah. So I actually wished my parents wrote me a letter like this. When I was young, I always thought my parents were kind of strict and unreasonable.
Yes.
They always put restrictions on me. And at the time, I never understood the logic behind them. Like, why can't I stay out past 9 p.m.? Or why can't I go to my friend's house? And then, I actually just thought they were trying to make my life difficult. But now that I think about it, I don't know, if I had a child, would I let my 10-year-old stay out past 9 p.m. and when I let him or her go to, so-and-so's friend's house that I don't even know, I mean, probably not, actually, because it's so dangerous. The world is such a dangerous place now.
I guess you will be like your mom.
Yeah.
You will realize, oh my God, I am my mom.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I think what's helpful for parents to do is actually if they shared their past experiences with me, maybe I would understand better. I don't like it when people say, don't do this. And then, why? Because I said so. Give me a reason, you know, and maybe if you reason with me, then I will be like, oh, okay, I understand, where you're coming from. Yeah. So a good way to become a better writer is to look at examples of other people's work, right? So let's take a closer look at the phrases and grammar used in this letter. As you probably know by now, the word what can be used in many ways. It can be used as a question pronoun like, what would you like to have for dinner? Or as a relative pronoun. She showed me what she had bought. And also as a predeterminer, like in the letter, what an exciting time it must be for you.
OK, what 这个字呢用法很多，你可能知道它可以当疑问词，那也可以当关系代名词。那在今天的文章里面呢，它则是用来表示感叹哦。What an exciting time! OK。多么让人兴奋的一个时间点呢 ？OK， 感叹句的用法呢，我们可以使用 what 或是 how。OK，what 的用法呢，我们后面就加上这个形容词，比方说呢 ，what an exciting，OK， 多么让人兴奋的一个时间，后面再加上这个形容词，那后面可以加上一个子句。那如果是用 how 的话呢 ？How OK， 注意到 how 跟 what 的差别。what 在于说呢，我们刚刚形容词是加在名词之前哦。What an exciting time OK， 那如果是用 how 的话呢，后面是直接加上形容词或副词了。我们会说 How exciting， 多么兴奋呢 OK。那有的时候呢，我们后面的这个子句呢是可以省略的。OK， 我们来看一个句子了。OK， When Susan opened the jewelry box and saw what was inside, she exclaimed in excitement, "What a beautiful necklace!" OK， 当她打开这个盒子，看到里面的珠宝的时候，她兴奋的大响：哇，多漂亮的项链啊！这个我们呢可以整句完整句子应该是 "What a beautiful necklace this is!" OK， 但在这边我们把 this is 省略 "What a beautiful necklace!" 你呢也可以用 how beautiful OK， 多么美丽啊！
That's right, okay? And the word rosy is one you might not be familiar with. When we say something is rosy, it means it is likely to be successful or happy.
Rosy 这个字呢，这个形容词哦，你可以想象一下 rose 就是玫瑰花，所以呢 rosy 你可以用来形容很红润的 your rosy cheeks OK， 很红润的双颊，或者呢像刚刚 Angeline 说的状况是良好的 OK。
Okay, so by the time our children become high schoolers, I wonder what the world will be like. Will we still have smartphones? Well, the phrase by the time means at the time or when. For example, by the time Stacy showed up, I was finished eating.
Okay, that's really bad for Stacy. OK， 句型呢 by the time OK， 后面呢我们再用这个 by the time 是加上一个什么时间的时候，什么样的时间，后面逗号分开来，后面再加上一个子句哦。通常后面的子句我们会说will have 或是已经 have had， 用这个完成式。这个是什么意思呢？这个句就是说到了什么时候的时候呢，后面这个句子是表示说这个东西呢已经完成了 OK， 比方说呢我们刚刚的句子呢，这个当 Stacy show up 的时候 OK， Angeline 呢已经吃完饭了 OK， Stacy 可能是迟到了 OK， 或者是呢像这个句子 By the time Terry completed his graduate program, he had been recruited by the AI company OK， Terry 在完成研究所学业之前呢就已经被那家人工智慧公司网络了，所以是什么时候 到了什么时候的时候，什么时候事情已经完成的这个句型哦。
Okay, so now let's take a look at writing sample 2, okay? July 5th, darling child. High school, I've found, can be a difficult period of life to navigate. That's why I've decided to write you this letter of advice on what to expect. Of course, you'll already know how challenging your schoolwork can be. However, high school isn't just about education. You'll probably be starting to think about relationships and how to strike a balance between school, family, and your social life. I've been figuring out how to cope with these issues, just like you'll need to. Luckily, my parents are very understanding. I can be honest with them about the pressure I'm under, and they help me however they can. They'll even take over my chores if I'm really busy. I've also formed a study group so I can see my friends and get my work done at the same time. However, I always keep some time free for my boyfriend. We don't study together, so our time is stress-free. I hope these tips help you someday. I'll always be there to help you too. Love, Mom. Okay, so you'll see that the letter begins with the salutation, darling child. Okay, this is an affectionate greeting. Darling means dearly loved. Sometimes people will call their loved ones darling, honey, sweetie, baby, sweetheart. Oh my gosh, are you getting goosebumps, Sam?
Oh no.
Okay, so we call these affectionate words that people use to address their friends and loved ones terms of endearment. Okay, one that is trending at the time right now is actually bae. B-A-E, bae. It's an abbreviation for babe. So, and also it actually can sometimes mean something else, which is before anyone else.
OK， 好，在这个第二篇范例文章里面呢，它开头就比第一篇还要更亲密一点哦，它就叫它 darling。darling 呢，就好像你妈叫你，比方说宝宝啊、甜心这种昵称。那英文里面呢，现在除了这个 baby、babe 之外呢，还有人写B-A-E 意思是一样的，就是宝贝的意思。
Okay, and then we also see the word navigate, okay? So you might be more familiar with the definition of navigate when we talk about finding which way you need to go when you are traveling from one place to another, right? But in this sentence, navigate means to understand or deal with something complicated.
OK， 好 ，navigate 这个动词我们就表示导航。例如呢，你用 Google Map 在路上走，找路走，或者是呢在海上航行哦，我们呢就会说 navigate。但这边引申的意思呢是在人生的道路上，你这个需要导航，所以指的是呢你理解了一些道理，你解决了一些难题哦，不是真的物理的这个导航。
And finally, the word chores, okay? Did you do any chores when you were young? Because I sure did. A chore is a small job that you have to do regularly, especially work that you do to keep a house clean, okay? So stuff like doing the dishes, washing the toilet, those are chores.
Yes, that's something I still have to do.
Yeah, you still have to do that now. I do too, especially because now nobody else is doing it for me, right? I have to do chores. Yeah. Okay, guys, we've actually run out of time for today, but we're so glad you could join us. We hope you had fun.
Yes.
This is Angeline.
This is Sam.
Goodbye.
Bye.